So here are my line of liquid nutrients that I use for my plants. All Roots Organics. I have their whole line of liquid nutrients that I follow their schedule, their feeding schedule. So Roots Organics, Buddha Grow, Buddha Bloom. Obviously, you know, that's the main veg grow feed. That's the main bloom grow feed. I have the gallon size for the grow because you do use this in all 8 weeks of the grow cycle. So this one, I find that I use it the fastest. So I have the gallon size. I didn't keep, I originally had a smaller size bottle. What I should have done, just FYI, if you get a smaller size, keep the smaller size bottle, then get a bigger size. You can use that to continually refill the smaller size. It's much easier to pour from the smaller than the big, especially when you're only pouring 5 or 10 milliliters at a time. That's what I did with the Trinity, which is actually the next one here. I have a big bottle as well, the gallon size, but I just refill the this one here when it's empty. I just fill it with the gallon size. So again, we have the Grow, Bloom, Roots Organics Trinity. This is, you know, pretty light on the levels as far as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, as you can see, 0.1, 0.5, 0.25. This is a, you know, supplemental nutrient. Again here, Roots Organic Surge. This is a really good supplemental nutrient. It gives a lot of boost. It gives it really makes your plant surge, you know, as it's called. You'll see some fast growth when you put this. This is a fish-based nutrient. So when you open this, you'll smell a fish smell. If you read the ingredients, you'll see there's like some fish byproducts and things like that in there. But again, it's really helpful for your plant. Next one is Ancient Amber. This is another one similar to Trinity, where it's light on your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. But I believe this is the one that says something about nettles. It contains nettles, which is a type of plant material broken down, which is beneficial for your plant. HP squared. If you're looking at the numbers here, 040. So this is one of your flowering boosts, one of your bloom boosters. So you only use this when you start blooming, and it's definitely a high phosphorus boost. It's actually a bat guano based nutrient. So if you look at the ingredients, the first ingredient is bat guano. That might be one of two ingredients. So it's like a liquid bat guano, and I think also it says seabird guano. Yeah, sorry, it's not focusing very well, but derived from bat guano and seabird guano is what it says there. So you have that in a liquid form. I also have the dry amendments of the bat guano and seabird guano, which I'll show you in a sec. The next one here is HPK. This is also another bloom booster, so you won't be adding this until you're flowering. Again, you can see no nitrogen, but 4 parts on the phosphorus, 3 parts on the potassium. So this is going to help you out in that flowering period. Main ingredients here, we're looking at seabird guano, bat guano. So this, you know, first two are the same as the HP squared, and then this also has langbonite, which is going to be a beneficial mineral. So again, nitrogen, potassium. I'm sorry, no nitrogen, but phosphorus, potassium. And then it's also giving you some calcium and magnesium, as I look here on the back. Okay, so HP squared. And then the last one for my liquids is going to be Extreme Serene. Extreme Serene is just another, you know, basic supplemental nutrient. You'll be giving this throughout the entire process, so from, you know, veg through bloom. So again, this is another boost. And even if you have house plants, I also use these to feed my house plants. You know, so I might make a mix, a veg mix for my cannabis plants, and then I might make the same exact mix, you know, or even just use a few of these. You don't need all of them, depending on, you know, where your plant is, and just water your house plants. I guarantee you'll see an improvement with these, with your house plants. Now, the thing is, when you are using these Roots Organics, you definitely want to make sure that your pH in your water, this one here, the Buddha Grow, also the Buddha Bloom, they're fairly acidic. So you'll notice your pH will go down to, you know, maybe 4 something. So you want to definitely make sure your pH in your water throughout the process. There's times when you follow the feeding schedule where it'll have you give more of certain, you know, nutrients than other times. So your pH is going to be reading different, you know, depending on how much you're putting in there. So just be careful with that. Make sure you're checking your pH, and you'll be good to go. Follow their schedule. You can get it right online. Just search Roots Organics feeding schedule. You'll see their entire chart laid out for you. Follow that, and I actually even do half of the recommended feed. That's how powerful and strong these are, especially if you're using all of the liquid nutrients plus the dry amendments that I'm going to show you. You will definitely be okay just using half. So the chart, you know, it tells you a certain amount to put per gallon. I use a 2-gallon jug, so I just use that same exact amount that it says on the chart, but instead of for 1 gallon, I'm using it in my 2-gallon jug. So that's me halving it, and it works absolutely great. You know, my last couple of batches that you guys have seen, it's been a product in part of these. Alright, so that's the liquid Roots Organics nutrients. Now, I did not get all of my nutrients at one time. I know it's a lot. Don't think you have to get them all at one time. If you want to start small, you definitely want to start with the Grow, the Buddha Grow and the Buddha Bloom from Roots Organics first. That way you have your Grow and your Bloom feed. You can actually, you know, grow an entire crop with just those two. Those are the two that I started with first. So I have done it, and you'll still get great crops. The rest will just only improve your batches. Now, what you do need to make sure you're doing, if you're using organic feed at all, is you need to make sure you're also feeding your plants microbes. You need to be feeding microbes, microorganisms to your plants and even to your leaves, so to the roots and to the leaves. You're going to add that into your feed. What I'm using is microbelife hydroponics, and there are 3 here: photosynthesis plus, vegetable and fruit yield enhancer, foliar spray and root dip, and there's actually a 4th one called Nourish L. Those are the 4 that I use. I pretty much use them every time I feed. With the Roots Organics liquid nutrients, I actually only add those liquid nutrients every other feed, and then the feeds in between are going to be plain water, but that plain water is still going to have these microbes in it. So I'm always feeding the plant at least the microbes, because they will continually be breaking down those organic nutrients. So even in the week when I don't, not even the week, but the time when I don't feed the plant directly, but I only water it with these microbes, you'll get an effect like you just fed the plant, because the microbes will continue to go ahead and break down any additional nutrients that were in the plant.
The big worm is actual worm castings, worm poop, which surprisingly is really, really helpful for the plants. Bat guano, bat poop. This is going to give you a strong nitrogen level, as you can see right there, 931. So you actually only use this about, I believe, 3, maybe 4 times throughout the whole growth cycle. Very, very strong nitrogen feed and bat poop. Here is the Organism XL. For some reason, this is the most expensive of all the feeds. So if you can, I would say whenever you can, invest in a bigger size bag. This is the one that again is going to help strengthen your roots and help those microbes colonize the roots so that your plant can be fed in the most efficient way possible. This is very, very helpful as well. You use this as a dry amendment, but you could also make a liquid mix with this and then add a small amount of the liquid mix to your feed every time, which, you know, feeds your roots directly also. So again, this is the Organism XL, definitely a good investment. Uprising Grow, use this maybe 3 times during the growth cycle. I think 1 time, 2 times during the growth cycle, 1 time during the first week of bloom. That's it. Again, you can see the numbers here, 612. So this is high nitrogen, so you're not going to be using this during the bloom cycle. Uprising Bloom. As it says, this is going to be your flowering feed mainly. Higher in phosphorus with the number 6, as well as potassium. If I would recommend any to start with, I would say probably the grow as well as the bloom. That way you have, your basic grow feed as well as your basic bloom feed, and then you can build up from there. Uprising foundation. This is more of just, as it says, a foundation, just to try to give your plant the basic nutrients that it needs to thrive. They recommend this as kind of like a 3-part feed with the uprising grow and uprising bloom. So if you can, then get all 3 at one time. But you can see it's not very high in nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium, just 211. But then if you look at the back, you can see that it's also going to give you some calcium, some magnesium, and also some iron. So this is going to give you, the highest is actually calcium. So this is going to give you a nice strong base mix of nutrients. And then if you look at, you can see some of the ingredients. Everything is organic, no chemicals, bat guano, fishbone meal, soybean meal, alfalfa, feather meal, crab meal, volcanic rock dust. Everything is organic, which takes time to break down in your soil, which is why the microbes are also helpful, because the microbes that you feed your soil are going to help these organic nutrients break down and help your plant get the most use out of them. This is the Roots Organics Seabird Guano. Sorry, I know the bag is a little messy. I think I splashed one of my mixes on it. But again, Roots Organics Seabird Guano powdered form. This is going to be, as you see, a high phosphorus boost, 0-12-0. So you use this maybe 3 or 4 times during the flowering process. I think they have you feed this in like the week 7 or 8 of the flowering process, just to give a final boost to the plants. And I mean, it is really helpful. You notice that you kind of get the most out of your plants within those last couple of weeks, which is what you want. And finally, we have Roots Organics Elemental. As I mentioned, this is going to be your CalMag feed. See it right there, calcium magnesium supplement. Not high. It's not high in any nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium. But again, if you check the back, calcium 20%, magnesium 5%, and then also a small amount of sulfur. So again, just those additional nutrients that are helpful to your plant. This is really going to make sure that as your plant gets big and you're getting big buds and big leaves and it's growing tall, that your stems are going to be strong enough to support all of that weight. That's really what the CalMag is really important for, just to keep your plant strong. You're feeding it all of those other nutrients that are intended to help it grow. You also want to make sure you're feeding it nutrients that are going to keep your plant strong, so it can hold all of that size and all of that weight that you want to add onto it. So that's it. Roots Organics Elemental. This is a real powdery feed, so just be careful when you open this. It's like it's dusty. You want to try not to inhale the dust that'll come out of here. But it's really, really helpful. Alright, and that's the list of the nutrients that I use. The liquid feed, the dry amendments, foliar spray. As I said, you don't have to start out with everything at once. It's going to be too hard. Start small, get used to that feeding schedule with the small amount, and then you slowly start to build as you're ready. I definitely do notice the improvement, the difference when I use everything together. Before I had all of these, I was still able to grow very good plants, but as I've gotten them, then I do see where they're definitely helping as well. So like I said, little by little you can just build up. But that's the nutrients that I use, all Roots Organics, and then I use microbelife hydroponics in order to feed the microbes to the soil, to the roots, and to the leaves. Alright, any questions, let me know. I appreciate the love. Like, subscribe, share. Alright guys, till next time, happy growing, light it up. Peace.